llama is the party. Party llama brings the party. Party llama dramatically enhances the party. Please do not use party llama if you are allergic to the following: having a good time, increased heart rate, not being a total lame-wad, enjoying your life to the fullest, parasailing from the back of a yacht. Please consult a doctor if you do not develop a cool attitude. Use as directed.
Hey, how about that? Can you hear me now? Looks like I forgot to sync with. All right. Hope everybody's doing okay. We're really excited you guys jumped on Teen Church Live today. We're excited also tonight. We're going to have Connect via Zoom. So if you need the link, make sure you hit up your Connect leader. Make sure that you hit me up if you need something. Because that was a great experience last week, jumping on, being able to see everybody's face, even though it was digital and remote. We were really excited to be able to do that. So we hope you can jump on Zoom with us tonight for Connect. Hey, we're going to get started today with some worship. We're going to hear from several different people that we're excited about sharing with us today about what it looks like to live in the midst of the disruption, because all of us have sort of different things going on in our life. We face different challenges, whether that's working from home, having schoolwork from home, being confined with your family in a small space, whatever it is. So we're going to kind of talk over the next couple of weeks about what it looks like to let God teach us and guide us and let us live in the midst of the disruption that we're experiencing with the COVID-19, but also just anytime we face sort of a challenge or a disruption in life, how do we handle that? How do we respond to that? How do we let God teach us and let us grow in the midst of that? So we're going to hear from several people this morning, but I want to let you know that if you want to help us put on Teen Church Live, we're looking for some volunteers to submit videos. So you can shoot me a message, shoot me a text this week, and we'd love to connect with you about what it looks like to be part of the team that's putting this together. So we're going to do some music and worship time. We're going to hear from several people this morning. Eventually, we're going to play a game, give away prizes. Last week, we sent a pizza out. We plan to do that again this week. So make sure you pay attention for the trivia game at the end. But we're just excited that you've joined us today for Teen Church Live, and let's get going with some worship.
Took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so good to me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. Oh, I couldn't turn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you yourself away into the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. So kind to me. Totally overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Joy, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. Oh, I couldn't turn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Totally overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no wall you won't, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No lie you won't take down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Into the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Though it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't turn it, and I don't deserve it, but still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of my heart is weary, when my soul is weak, when it seems I can't traverse the trail before me, I survey the glory of your agony, and I find the will to fight for what's before me. 'Cause you ran the race, enduring for your glory, and I fix my eyes on you, the founder and the finisher of our faith, and I fix my eyes on you. The solace in your suffering is my strength, as I fight to follow. You're my righteous guide, and you train me to delight in all that's holy. Heal my broken body, cure my crooked stride, throw off every weight and sin that clings so closely. I will run the race, enduring for your glory, and I fix my eyes on you, the founder and the finisher of our faith. I fix my eyes on you, the solace in your suffering is my strength. You help me breathe, you're the only life I need. You died for me, you're the only life I need. You help me breathe, you're the only life I need. You died for me, you're the only life I need. So I fix my eyes on you, the founder and the finisher of our faith. I fix my eyes on you, the solace in your suffering is my strength.
Okay, so we're talking about disruptions. Before I get too far into this, can everybody hear me? Give me a little thumbs up or whatever in the chat if you can hear me. Maybe. Thumbs up. All right, cool, great. So we're talking about disruptions and what it means to have our life disrupted. And there's a story from Matthew chapter 14 that if you came to either our drive-in service or if your family watched the live stream this morning from our church service, Ronnie talked about it this morning, but Matthew chapter 14, Jesus is just finished feeding the 5,000. He sends his disciples out ahead of him on a boat to cross the sea, and he spends some time praying, and a storm comes up on the sea while these followers of Jesus are in the boat. And I can't imagine how terrifying that would be. I've been near the water when there's been some pretty major storms. I grew up on the East Coast. We would get hurricanes and gale force winds and big storms that would come on us pretty often. And what happens usually is there's this sort of like panic that sets in. Even if you're someone who knows how to handle those kind of situations, it can be a little terrifying when a storm first hits. So I imagine that as these gale force winds, as these storm conditions start coming up on the disciples, even though some of them are experienced fishermen, there's probably a little unnerving. They're out in the middle of the water with no support system and a storm hits. But Jesus just sort of calmly strolls out on the water. He walks on the water out to them. And when they see him, at first they don't understand what's happening. They're confused. They think it's a ghost. Then he speaks to them, tells them not to be afraid. And something interesting happens. I don't know that I would do this, but Peter, one of Jesus' closest followers, asked to get out of the boat. And he says, I'm going to hop on the water here. And when he does that, it's this brave, courageous moment. And we see these things from Peter in his life pretty often, where he just kind of bravely steps out into the storm. Now, I don't know about you, how you're handling this disruption right now, but I'm probably not going to be the person who's going to jump out the boat in the middle of the disruption, in the middle of the storm, and going to bravely walk on water. But Peter had this experience, this moment where he says, Jesus, if it's you, call me out and I'm going to come out to you. So he jumps out the boat. And you think that this courage might sustain him, but what happens actually is he begins to notice the storm. And he realizes how serious of a decision he's made and what kind of a circumstance he's gotten himself into. So he moves from being brave to being fearful, from being courageous to being overwhelmed. And maybe you got a day or two into, the isolation and the social distancing, like, great, I can binge that series I've been watching. I can finally do the things I want to do. And then you get a couple days into it and you realize how overwhelming a major life disruption like that can be. And what a lot of us tend to do is we tend to become inwardly focused when we get disrupted, when our life becomes chaotic, when we face a disruption like a storm or like a virus or any other major life disruption that we would face. We tend to focus on ourselves. How am I going to be safe? What am I going to do to protect myself? And we start gathering up our resources and looking out for number one. And what Jesus tells us is we don't need to do that. See, he's there with us in the midst of this storm in a way that allows us to not have to worry about our own selves. And I think one of the easiest ways, or one of the best ways to get the focus off of you, is to begin to serve other people. So this morning, we're going to hear from a couple different people. First, we're going to hear from Josh Johnson about what it looks like to find a place to serve and why that's so important, especially at times like this. And then a little bit later on, after we do some more music and spend some more time together, we're going to hear from two people from our church, one of whom you probably know pretty well, Yuvia, and then someone that maybe you don't know as well, Donovan. But we're excited to hear their stories about how they found places to serve. And I hope that you can learn from their examples, because when we begin to serve others and put others' needs ahead of our own, we take that focus off of ourselves. We can begin to see where Jesus is already working, and we can follow him, I believe, more clearly and more effectively in the midst of disruption. So let's listen to Josh and hear what he has to say for us.
Hey everybody, hope you guys are all doing all right. I want to talk to you guys today about serving. Richard asked me to speak specifically about finding a place to serve. So I wanted to actually talk about it in two different ways. One is proactively finding a place to serve, and then the other one is responsively or reactively finding a place to serve. So when it comes to proactive serving, it's looking for what your talents are and actively looking where they can be best plugged in to make an impact. And then the other way is responsively or reactively responding to the needs that there's always needs that arise in life as we go through it, and just making sure that we're ready to listen and respond to those. So the first one, serving proactively. So a little story. I moved to San Antonio 20 years ago and was given the advice by a minister I had at that time in my college ministry to go use some of the talents that I had and go pick my church off that skill. So when I was at college, I learned how to play bass guitar. I don't know that I call myself a talented musician or anything, but it's something I could do, and I enjoyed it, and it gave me kind of a drive. So I went to a couple different churches and saw if they needed a bass player, and Castle Hills was the second church I went to, and I got a quick invite to play, and I started playing every week within the first months I moved to town, and it's what got me plugged into a community. So some thoughts on that. I kind of reflect on that story a little bit and my experience of that. The first was kind of, I thought, was knowing what your talents are. So if you want to proactively serve, what are you good at? So I remember in high school and middle school I was competitive. I liked sports, and I thought talents came down to being really good, playing basketball well, or being good at academics, or being, theater arts. Like that was kind of like your identity, or something was tied into that. And it's not that I didn't appreciate other things like treating people well or being friendly or these things, but what I realize now that I'm older, when you say talents and what really matters, being friendly, being a good listener, being compassionate with people, loving them, being hardworking, those are actually the talents that really, really matter. Not your musical talent like playing a bass would be, as it turns out in the end. So know what your talents are. And oddly, I think it's easier when you're younger, especially when it comes to those personality kind of things. Sometimes it's easier and that's true when you're older too, for somebody else to know you better than you know yourself as far as what you're actually good at. So ask your friends, ask your family about those things, and start thinking about how what makes you unique and how God created you. And I think that's part of the message of grace, like being comfortable in your own skin, knowing who you are, that God made you that way. And He's good with you, and there's a purpose in how He made you, and He wants to use you in using those talents to serve. The second thought, as beyond knowing what your talents are, is to consider what you enjoy. And typically, what you enjoy ends up being things that you're good at, and things you're good at are things you typically enjoy, right? And so God, although He wants to deal with sin in our life and clear it out, I think God is actually much more interested and is merciful and graceful with the messy sides of our lives. And I think He likes to see how He can actually use our strengths, what makes us unique, and to use those things for His kingdom. We can get caught in this trap of Christians of trying to clean all the negativity out of our life. I think if we focus more on filling our lives with positivity in God and the strengths that we have, and embracing those things, I think the other side of the equation, interestingly enough, gets fixed. God works there too. So the third part of this, so first, knowing what your talents are, second, considering what you enjoy, and the third is seeking out. Go looking, and once you identify those things, try to actually find ways to intentionally engage them. So going back to playing the bass, like it was going to a place where that talent could be used. And I love that methodology of thinking about church is not about going someplace where you can be served. It's about how you can serve your church and serve God. So look for that. So a verse that I think that reinforces this is 1 Peter 4:10. It says, "As each has received a gift, use to serve one another as God's steward of God's varied grace." So stewards is an interesting concept. So we think about wealth. It's easy for us to think about the desire to want to keep and have it, making it about possession. But the reality is wealth is really about stewardship. It's about what you do with it and how you give it away. It's not about what you have, it's how you use it to benefit God's kingdom. So those are my thoughts on serving proactively. So when it comes to serving responsively, a quick little story. I was driving out of town one day, and I have an engineering personality. I like to think through decisions kind of methodically, and I'm not one to just jump on the spur of the moment to respond to something. And I actually was talking with a friend driving out of town, going on a road trip, and actually talking about this. And it wasn't 10, 15 minutes later, this car up ahead swerved off to one side of the road, kind of came out of view behind some of the traffic, and then it swerved back across the highway. We're going 70 miles an hour, and the car ends up on its side on the side of the road. And this is maybe 100, 200 yards ahead of me. And so I slam on my brakes and pull over on the side of the road, and my friend and I were the first people to show up at this car. And the people were fortunately just fine, and we pulled them out. I think it was an interesting message of God's grace in saying, no, you can be responsive, and you can you had a direction to go on your way, and you're on a road trip, and I'm one of those guys, like, I'm focused on the destination. Let's go, and we're gonna minimize times for gas breaks, and we're gonna get back in the car. And we're gonna go, right. So this was no, here's something important that you can make a difference with. You can stop, and this is the path that God wants you to be on. So there's needs around us all the time. So in that, just have your eyes open. Avoid the easiest path. So serving will take sacrifice. So like driving somewhere, that's, if you're dead set on that, not that I'm saying, you drive by an accident, but if somebody immediately needs help, like you're going to have to sacrifice whatever your agenda was and what you're doing, and pull over. You have to have space in your life. If you're so full with your activities, then you're not going to have room to do that. The third thought, as far as serving responsibly, is God's Spirit wants to lead us. So we have to listen to the tugs in our hearts and these impulses on our conscience, and how we feel, and pushing aside selfishness, and follow those. So in Psalm 143:10 it says, "Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your good spirit lead me on level ground." And God wants to center and use the Spirit to lead us in our lives, and sometimes that is not what we think the top priority should be. It's really what God's priority is going to be. So my two thoughts, again, wrapping it up, is to look to serve proactively, knowing what your talents are, tuning in those desires and how God made you, and seek to use them intentionally in places that they be used for God's kingdom. And then the second is to serve responsively, and open your eyes to all the needs that are around us. And right now, like, it's a new world with what's going on with the coronavirus, and there's so much change. There's going to be tons of opportunities that are going to be here, and needs are going to be here. So avoid the easy path. Be brave. Follow the Spirit. Sacrifice what you had planned on your agenda on that drive, and be ready to
upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail, and there I'll find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand, and I will call upon your name, and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours, and you are mine. strong hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, oh, you've never failed, and you won't start now. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me, and take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. The Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me, and take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me, and take me deeper than my feet could ever wander. My faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, and you are mine. You are mine. Oh, you are mine.
Hello, my name is Donovan Roan. I'm a member of Castle Hills Christian Church. Wanted to talk to you guys today about Meals on Wheels and volunteering there. So if you're not familiar with Meals on Wheels, what it is an organization that prepares meals, breakfasts, lunches for elderly people who can't get out of the house or can't cook, or people that can't afford food. So what we do is there's myself and 3 other people at my work. We go to a church once a week and pick up some meals there, and we have a list of people that we're delivering to. It's usually 5 to 10 people, and we'll go to each of their houses and knock on the doors and give them the meals, just kind of check on them, make sure they're doing okay. Sometimes chat, some want to talk, some don't. So that's basically in a nutshell what Meals on Wheels does, and it's a really great organization that helps a lot of people in need out. I do Meals on Wheels because I have kind of a passion of helping other people. It's just something I really enjoy doing. Some of the other reasons that I do it is because I just really love helping others who are in need. Some of these people really need these meals, and without it, I'm not exactly sure what they would do. Also, the companionship, a lot of them just want to talk to someone. They're by themselves, they're lonely, they want to talk to, a friendly face, and so I've become pretty good friends with them, and some of them are the sweetest people that you'll ever meet. And third, it's God's work. He calls us to do to help others who are in need. And so I'm just trying to help God in what He's trying to do on this earth. And then I guess finally, in a selfish way, it makes me feel good. I really like to help other people, like I said, and it's a great organization. I have a lot of fun doing it. It's fun, it's easy, and I enjoy it. And if you get a chance, you should take a route, try to volunteer, or if anyone wanted to, they could go with me, and I'll be happy to show you what it's like. I hope this became educational for you, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks again.
So, at the winter retreat that we had for the youth group at the HEB Camp Foundation in February, Richard asked me this off the cuff question that said, Yuvia, why do you like to serve in the youth ministry? And for me, the answer was simple. Growing up, I didn't have a huge youth ministry. The youth ministry was myself and two other people. So when we moved to San Antonio and I was able to become part of, a bigger youth ministry, I felt like if me being a sponsor would help all of these high schoolers and middle schoolers get together and have a good time, that was worth it. That was something that I had always wanted. And if I could help make that happen, I was going to do that. And so that's always been my answer. However, afterwards, the question really lingered with me. I started really thinking, why do you like to help in the church? Why do you like to help people in all the ministries that you serve in? And I came to a realization. I realized that in my desire to serve God and help other people in ministry work, God ended up feeding my and developing my own spiritual needs. So it wasn't just about the people that I was helping or, serving through the ministries that I was helping with. It was for me and my relationship with God. And being able to look back and see how God has evolved and developed my faith all of these years by finding a place to serve and help within the church is really incredible. And it's something that I hope that you would consider too.
Okay, I know you've been waiting for this. We're going to do some trivia here. And so we're going to jump right in. 5 rounds of questions. And we're trying to help everyone who's prepping for their driver's test and can't get out right now. So question number 1, under normal driving conditions, a safe distance between your cars is what? Is it 1, 100 feet, 2, 3 seconds behind the vehicle, 3, a car length behind the vehicle, or 4, close enough you can read the bumper stickers? Just put 1, 2, 3, or 4 as your answer in the slot there in the comment section. And it'll tally up your answers and we can get going. I know some of you really need to work on your driving skills, and this whole social distancing and isolation has kind of limited your ability to do that. So we're hoping to help you guys out today. And, we're going to send a pizza to the person who won. So the correct answer, in case you're curious, in case you're studying for your driver's test, is 2. You're supposed to be 3 seconds behind the vehicle. 3 seconds behind the vehicle. Looks like a lot of y'all got that. I'm glad that many of you got that who are going to be prepping for your driving test. So round 2's question. While driving, when must you turn on your headlights? 1, is it when the sun has set? 2, when you see the moon? 3, when you want to be noticed? Or 4, when you start seeing animals on the side of the road? So 1, 2, 3, or 4. When is it that you need to turn on your headlights? This is an important one. You don't be driving around without your headlights on when you're supposed to have them. It looks like most of you put the right answer in for this one. Sorry, Josiah, they're just going to copy your answers, man, because you know what you're doing. So, all right. It's computing the answers. It's churning all that up. Yep. Looks like most of you got that right. Nevin, I see that you want to be noticed. I get it. It's tough, man. It's tough out there. But the rest of you, it looks like you got right. When the sun is set, that's the time to turn on your headlights. All right, round 3. There's no crosswalk. You see a pedestrian crossing the road ahead. You should either A, slow down to 10 miles per hour. Excuse me, not A, 1. 1, slow down to 10 miles per hour. 2, stop and let them cross. 3, honk your horn. Or 4, look for a puddle of water to drive through and splash them. It's definitely 4, Giselda. You're right. Definitely 4. Where are all my horn honkers at? I feel like most of y'all would actually just beep at them until they got out of the road. That's what seems like the right thing to do, right? So obviously the correct answer is 2, right? Stop, let them cross. I think that's probably what it is. Yep, stop and let them cross. Most of you got that. Most of you got that correct. My guess is we're going to be pretty tight at the top of the leaderboard. Let's see how many of you can get that. We may have to do a playoff at the end and see how we can figure this out. So number 4, the traffic light you're approaching is flashing yellow. What should you do? 1, stop and wait until no cars are coming. 2, speed up. 3, proceed with caution. 4, pull over and see what the flashing light spells in Morse code. I know some of y'all been working on your Morse code. You've been sitting in your room. That's maybe a good hobby to pick up during the social isolation. You can tap out things, get your neighbor's attention or your friends. So I expect to see very many of you working on your Morse code this week. Getting that up to speed and working on that. All right, so the correct answer is proceed with caution. Once again, a lot of y'all got proceed with caution. Good job. We want to be cautious out there when we approach a flashing yellow. So I do notice that a couple of my people with driver's license have missed a few of these, but that's okay. You've already got your license. You don't need to study for the test, right? All right. So it's a very windy day. You're driving, and a bad storm with rain blows through, reducing your visibility. So you can't see very far ahead of you. What should you do? 1, turn on your hazards. 2, turn on your headlights. 3, turn on your interior lights. Or 4, turn on some Taylor Swift and just shake it off. What should you do here? I'm assuming Nevin's going to shake it off, right? All right, and let's see what our correct answer is. We're going to tabulate and calculate until we get our correct answer here. All right, number 2, turn on your headlights. All right, so let's see what our totals were at the end of our 5 rounds of questions. See who our winner is. Wade. It looks like Wade came through. Oh, we got 3 up top. Okay. So all 3 of you, Wade, Cat Lover Animates, and E-Dog TA, make sure you hit me up. I will reach out to you if I haven't heard from you here pretty soon, and we'll get you some, is that Faye? That's the, okay, that makes sense. And we'll send over some pizza and get you guys going this week. So like I said earlier, we're really excited you guys are taking to this, that you're jumping on and spending some time together. We're going to do a Zoom call tonight for Connect. We hope you can make it out for that 5 o'clock. If you need the information, you can email me, richard@chccteens.com. Text me if you have my number. Message us through any of the socials that we have. And we'll make sure we get the information out to you. Also, I know a lot of your Connect leaders will be sending it out to you. We're really excited that you joined us. And if you need anything during this time, don't hesitate to reach out to ask for prayer. Make sure you're taking care of each other, that you're checking in on each other. And we're really excited to have you as part of our teen ministry family, and hope that you will continue to be blessed by the things we're trying to do and to keep that going.